Duke Eclipse presents the Horror Hideout Podcast, a podcast covering everything horror, including books, comics, and movies. Presented by Dawson Duke and Kayla Bullock. Okay, so welcome to episode 25.
Yes.
And this is coming out the day after Christmas?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So today we're doing Winterset Hollow by Jonathan Edward Durham.
You finally got it right.
I know.
This is one of my all-time favorite horror books, and I've only read it once before, and I knew how much I loved it, but I forgot a lot of what happened, and then just being back in that world that he creates is amazing.
And this isn't really spoilers. There's there's pieces of poems throughout. Like there's sections from a fictional narrative that's written as poem.
So the basis of this story is.
Well, I wasn't done with what I was gonna say.
Okay. I was going to explain where the poem fits.
Well, I was just going to say the poem is very well written. Now you can...
So, I believe his name is Eamon, is how you say it.
I don't know.
But we're going to go with Eamon. Grew up reading Winterset Hollow, which was a fictional book about animals and their Barley Day celebration. There's a fox, a frog, a rabbit, a bear, and their enemies are the buffalo.
Yeah.
And so the poems that Dawson was talking about, those are actually
snippets from the fictional story.
Right. So and they're all throughout the book.
Which the name of the story in the book is also Winterset Hollow. Yes. So there's the fictional book within the book Winterset Hollow, but the actual book we're talking about is also called Winterset Hollow.
Yes. So do you want to do our spoiler-free review?
It's like what we said in the past. It's kind of like Bed Knobs and Broomsticks if it was horror. Right. Where you kind of... it's like... He discovers that these creatures from the story are real.
Yeah. That's pretty much all we can say without ruining anything. So do you want to dive in?
Well, I was going to say, so if you haven't read it, go read it, because this is an amazing book, and I don't want to spoil stuff for you, because it kind of twists and turns as you go.
Yes. And I do want to say that it's only, I think, 270 pages.
Yeah.
But there's so much to this book that it took me a while to read it because there's so much into it.
I don't want us discussing it to be your first introduction to this book because there's so much in it that you learn as you go through the book, and you need to follow that journey throughout the book.
Yes. So if you haven't read it, don't listen to this episode until after you do. So... be warned, this is not a book that we can talk about without spoiling the story.
Yeah, and I also want to give, a quick, trigger warning disclaimer. The stuff will be more specific in the description, but there is, some self-harm stuff in this story.
Yeah. So, we meet Eamon and his friends Caroline and Mark. And Mark and Caroline are a couple.
Yes.
And I don't really know if they ever say how old they are, but I get early to mid 20 kind of vibe.
That's what I was thinking.
And so
it kind of, you know what it kind of reminded me of? Early Friends, that kind of vibe.
Yeah, I could see that. But Eamon is the one I mentioned that grew up reading this story.
Yes, and he's our main character.
We find out throughout the story in different little snippets that he was raised in a forest in a cabin by his dad. He'd never had interactions with other people, never been to a town or anything until I think he was 14.
Yeah. He didn't even know his actual first name until he was talking to a caseworker.
Right.
Which, I don't remember if this is in a story or it's in someone real life. But there's someone that talked about that in something else, where they did not know their name until they were arrested and taken to court, and the judge said their name. But I don't know, I can't remember if that was a singer or if it was something in a book, but I know that that's something I've heard before.
Well, that's like your middle name being James after Grandpa, whose real name is Jimmy.
Yeah.
How old was I when you were born, and I thought his name was James the whole time?
Yeah.
So, I believe when he's 14, his dad leaves and doesn't ever
It never comes back, yeah.
So he ends up walking into town.
Yeah.
And this isn't how the book opens. We learn all of this throughout the book.
Yeah, we're kind of putting the timeline together.
Yeah. So it's kind of like flashbacks in his
Yeah.
mind. Um,
And what we talked about with I'm just gonna say this now. What we talked about with the where we get snippets from the Winterset Hollow book within the book, they you get a snippet at the beginning of each chapter, like before each chapter, and then also sometimes they'll quote passages throughout the actual text
right.
later.
And so, Eamon does not have any people skills. I mean, he's awkward, but he fits with Mark and Caroline.
Yeah.
Caroline just gets him as a friend, and
Well, and him and Caroline have really bonded over Winterset Hollow
right.
because they both really enjoy it. But supposedly, um, is his name Mark?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I keep wanting to say Matt, and it's not Matt. Um, so supposedly Mark has never read it.
Right. So, it's a beautifully written. Winterset Hollow in the book is a very beautifully written book because
Yes,
it's a story, but it's all written in poetry.
but also the actual book of Winterset Hollow is also beautifully written.
And the
The
one
way he
thing,
describes everything and everything, it feels like reading an author that's from a previous era.
that's what I was
Not that it
gonna
feels outdated.
right. That's what I was gonna say. You told me that it felt like reading a classic. Like,
Yeah, it's very poetic language, but it's not like
and I don't cry a lot with horror books. I mean, there's been a few that made me cry. This one made me cry the second time through too.
yeah.
I mean, it's just you get connected to the characters. You want things to go well, and your heart breaks. I
Yeah.
mean, so, um, and even the ending, like my heart just was
And this
broken
this
for
was
the
my
ending.
first time reading it, but you'd read it when it first came out in 2019.
2022.
Oh, I couldn't remember. I think you said 2019 the other day when you said you weren't sure when it came out, and then you
Maybe.
looked and it was 2022. Um, but yeah, so you'd read it once, and but I'd never read it.
And I want to say this too. I don't mean to interrupt you, but this is the only novel that Jonathan has ever written, and but he is a super nice guy, and he is funny. So if you find him on Facebook or on social media, he is funny. He's always posting funny little stuff on there. But I'm hoping eventually we can get an interview with him for our podcast.
Yeah.
But he is a very nice guy. So
Um, but did you do they really mention a whole lot of technology throughout this book? Because I don't remember them talking about cell phones.
I don't think so.
So I think the year could kind of be ambiguous.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Yeah. Yeah, because they don't have. I mean, I don't think anybody tries to use their cell phone on the island.
No, it's never mentioned that I remember.
Me neither. So what happens is, Eamon gets 3 free passes to go to. Is it Addison Island?
I don't know,
Addington Island.
but I know we're kind of going out of order, but I did want to say the way he discovered um Winterset Hollow when he was living with his like a foster family. A package was delivered without like any mailing address. Like it just came to their house. There was no return address, and it wasn't like there wasn't anything written on it like from whoever. And so in there was just the book of Winterset Hollow. And so he read that, and like as soon as he read it, he drove back to like his dad's house and like saw the cabin like in disrepair and stuff. And but then whenever he was an adult, whenever he moved into like a new house, I don't
He
know if it's
was living with
apartment.
Mark, and Mark and Caroline
Okay.
wanted to live together, so he
Yeah.
got his own place.
And when he did, when he moved in there, the previous occupant had already been subscribed to like Winterset Hollow fan magazine, essentially. I don't remember what it's called,
Something like that.
but that's where the tickets came from.
Yeah. And so, um, really at the beginning, we just kind of get a basis of their relationship. Like, Caroline and Eamon like to gang up on Mark, and
Yeah,
um,
in a joking way.
right, like, and Mark's just kind of the, I don't know, the kind of the goofy one. Um, but
They,
they
but they was like I think they make a joke near the beginning about like how he's illiterate because he doesn't read or something.
yeah. And so, it's not just them that got invited to the island. There's a bunch of people that go.
I don't know exactly how many.
I think 10. For some reason 10 is sticking.
Okay.
I think 10. But anyway, so they're all waiting to get on the ferry, and then the ferry is broke down, so some guy takes him over to the island in his fishing boat.
But he charges them because the whole thing was they got free tickets to take the ferry. And then whenever the guy comes, they're like, well, why do they send out the tickets? And he's like, oh, the mayor does it to try to draw in tourists, but the ferry's been broken for years, so it'll be, I think he said $5 a person.
I thought he said
It
25.
might be 25. But anyway, he ends up charging them to drive them out to the island.
So I know for sure there's somebody named Gareth, and he's just kind of loud and obnoxious and over the top in everything he does. And then there's, is it Paige and Tom that are a couple?
I don't know, I was trying to look. Okay, so we have Gareth and then Thomas and Paige, who are a couple who are kind of with Gareth. Um, Talia and Percy, who are a couple, and then Rowan and Patrick, who are like best friends.
Right. And Patrick is the one that wanted everybody to come to the island with him. Wanted Rowan to come with him. I think Gareth was the one that brought his two friends.
Yes, and Rowan and Patrick are kind of described as like polar opposites.
Yeah. So they're all on the island, and it's a huge island. I mean, acres
Yeah,
and acres
yeah.
and acres of land. And they land. They go to the dock and they get off.
And Gale isn't that the captain's name? Captain Gale of the ship?
Maybe. But the captain gets off too, and he sits a chair down. And
Gene.
And he's just kind of gotta wait for them to explore the island.
Yeah.
Um,
Which doesn't he kind of gets drunk and passes out.
yeah. And so they end up finding the gate to the house, but it's locked with this huge chain and padlock. And so everybody else besides Eamon and his group kind of decide just to party right outside the gate. And Gareth starts reciting parts of Winterset Hollow.
I don't know if they really party.
Well, I mean, they're drinking and stuff.
Yeah, but they're not really. I mean, I don't think they're being disrespectful. They like leave little gifts.
Yeah.
Like I think Caroline. Caroline leaves like drawings she did
Yeah.
of like the characters and stuff. So they kind of leave little things, and then yeah, Gareth starts to read.
And Eamon spells out "thank you" with rocks.
Yeah.
Right by the fence. So Eamon decides he wants to go walk around the island, and so they're following this path.
Which, did you say they can see the house, but they can't get to it because of
Yeah,
the gate?
yeah.
Okay.
And so Mark is whining he wants to go back, but Eamon's like 1 more mile. And they find a spot where a tree has fallen over and knocked down the fence, and they can climb over the tree to get onto the
Which,
property.
I know you said that it's like acres and acres and like it's a big island, but I could not get like a grasp in my head over how big.
I get the impression it's pretty big because later on they have to go 4 or 5 miles to get just to the hunting cabin,
Yeah.
and then it's like another 2 miles to the
Coast or
coast.
to the lighthouse.
Yeah. So I mean, I would say 10-15 miles wide for an island seems pretty big.
Yeah. I don't know.
And it's a privately owned island too.
Yeah. But like we said, the house is built there, but they talk about how it's like overgrown now. Really, like I mean, the grounds around it mostly is what they talk about. It's kind of like overgrown. Like nature has started to reclaim it.
Yeah, and not inside the fence though.
I think I said around the fence.
So when they get inside, they find one thing they find is a big cage that has 12 chessboards set up around the outside of it, and so it's like whoever was in the cage could play 12 chess matches against people at the same time. There's a hedge maze. There's all these statues.
Which the statues are of different people in what's the author's name?
Addington.
In Addington's family.
Yeah. So the author's name is Edward Addington, which I never got. He used his middle name for the guy.
Yeah. So they see a rabbit. Did you say that they see a rabbit go? They see a rabbit go under the fence in the area where the tree fell. So they're gonna follow this rabbit. Is kind of what they say, but really they're just going in to try to see if they can get to the house.
Yeah, and they. But then it starts to rain.
After they're through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I said they saw the hedge maze.
Okay. Okay.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Which I actually think that the thing with the chess pieces, the chessboards, is in the middle of the maze. Right?
Yes, they say that it's in the center of the maze, and they say that what's his name? Ed. Eamon notices that that it seems like there was one person in the cage playing 12 games at once against other people. Did you
I
say
said
that?
that,
Okay,
yeah.
sorry.
And like every game was one or two moves away from the person in the cage winning
Yes.
every match. Um, so it starts to rain, and they end up by the house. They actually end up inside.
Yeah, they're gonna try to get inside to get some shelter from the rain.
How does he hit his head?
Well, I was gonna say, it's not just that he hits his head. I think they're by a window, and or they're by the front door or something, and they see Running Rabbit, and he's holding a lantern or a candle or something, and he says something, and then he passes out.
Okay, so Eamon passes out.
Yeah, like he's just like so overwhelmed that he passes out.
And when he comes to there, he's inside the house. And he's
Yes.
in kind of like a study library room with
Yeah.
Ronnie, the rabbit.
Yeah. Like Addington's office.
So, before we get further into it, so the characters that are in the book Winterset Hollow that they meet, there's Flackwell Frog, which he's the chef. There's Phineas Fox, which he is just kind of a bad attitude and not. I mean, he's not a nice person, nice fox.
But that also like it kind of reflects like a lot of foxes in mythology and stuff are like trickster characters and um they're not really nice.
He reminded me sometimes of Robin Hood, the
Yeah.
Disney Robin
Yeah.
Hood. So there's Rennie, there's Flackwell, there's Phineas, there's Bingham the Builder Bear. Um, is that it?
Which every time I read his name all I could think of was Build a Bear.
Is that it?
Who'd you say?
The frog, the fox, the rabbit, and the bear. And then we meet Olivia the owl eventually.
Yeah, but I think that's it for who's left.
Okay.
Or like who's
Okay. So Ronnie goes to take Eamon to his friends, and they walk by the kitchen, and he sees the frog in there cooking.
Yeah.
That's the frog's thing. Like he's this magnificent cook.
well in what's the frog's name?
Blackwell.
Okay. That him and Runny seem to like I don't know if it's supposed to be romantic, but they're very close.
I got more like best friends because.
But I think it could be read either way.
I got more best friends just because some of the things like later on that they say like I didn't get. I mean, he does call him my frog. But
Yeah.
I didn't take it that way, but it could have been.
But it could also be like what's that the Frog and Toad storybook?
Yeah.
Like it could be that kind of thing where they're just like really good friends.
That's what I got out of it.
Yeah.
Because later on we learned a little bit about their history, and it seemed to me like the rabbits and the frogs were close in the actual hollow too.
Yeah. Which do we want to talk about the story of Winterset Hollow in the story?
Well, let's meet our characters first.
Okay.
So Flackwell's in there cooking. Ronnie takes Eamon into the dining room, right?
It's
or
like
the
a
ballroom.
Yeah.
I think it's the ballroom.
Yeah.
And the whole rest of the group is there, and so he finds Mark and Caroline. But
and
then,
this isn't the story is not the story is from a third person point of view.
Yeah.
So we do jump like to some other people, but the whole time Edmonton is like the main character.
Eamon.
Whatever. His name is I cannot pin down in my head.
It's Eamon.
Yeah.
And when I looked it up, it said Eamon.
Okay. So anyway, he before he goes in the room, we kind of get an introduction to like some of the other characters. But we've kind of already talked about that.
Yeah.
But
And as he's walking down the hallway, it's pictures of all the Addington men that have came before Edward. And so when he gets to the ballroom, Phineas, the fox, I think they just call him Finn through most of the
yeah. I think he's only referred to as Phineas in passages from the book and like once whenever he's first introduced, and the rest of the time he's just Finn.
There's one part at the very end where they say Phineas, and it kind of threw me off because I'm like, wait, who?
I think it's a passage from the book though where it
No,
says it.
I
It's
don't
not.
think so. I'm
Okay.
not going to argue with you because I could be wrong, but I think it was in the story because I'm like, who is this?
And it might say it there, but
So anyway, Phineas is drinking.
yeah.
He's just kind of like antsy to get things started.
And then Caroline.
So all of the humans think that basically they're gonna be there because it's rainy and they're gonna have this big feast with the animals and everything's just hunky
Yeah,
dory.
because it's barley day,
Yes.
which is like a big feast day in the book.
Yeah.
It's like a holiday for
Kind
them.
of like their harvesting day, like
Yeah,
harvest festival type
it
thing.
kind of like Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Um, but Caroline and Mark get into some of Finn's alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
And so he kind of not really threatens like full on, but he kind of does.
Yeah.
But he ends up just saying like, "Oh, all is forgiven if you refill my flask," basically.
And so Caroline, when Eamon gets in there, she takes him over and opens this door, and that's when we first see Bing. They call him Bing the bear.
Yeah.
Um, and he's sitting in a theater watching the cartoon version of Winterset Hollow.
Yes, and they say there's been a few different cartoon versions, and I don't know if they specifically say which one this one is, but it's just one of them.
And I mean, they talk about there's comic books, there's books, there's
Yeah,
the
yeah,
animations and all this stuff based on the Winterset Hollow in the book.
yeah,
But he's drinking, and he's a huge bear, like the
yeah.
biggest bear they've ever seen.
And from what I understand, in the book he dies. Is that what you got? Like in the book within the book he dies. Like in the Winterset Hollow book.
I didn't think he did. I thought Finn did.
No. I think it's him.
Because Finn steps down and Bing steps in.
Yes. But Finn doesn't die. He steps down and Bing steps in, and then Bing dies under the oak tree, and then they all sit with him, and they're all sad because Bing is dead. But Bing isn't actually dead.
Right. Okay, so I'm going to let you talk about the Winterset Hollow inside the book.
Okay.
And before you start, this is spread throughout the book. Like,
yeah, there's
this
different
is not
passages.
all put together. Yeah. And that's one thing I mentioned to you the other day when we were talking about it was I wish that somebody would pull out those parts and kind of put them together. I know it wouldn't be the complete story, but just to be able to sit down and, which I mean, I could go through the book and read them, but to have them in order and be able to read it. So I'm going to let you talk about that part.
So essentially what the story boils down to is Runny the Rabbit is like young and spry, and they live in the Winterset Hollow, I'm assuming.
Yes.
And
which they just call the Hollow.
Yes. And so Runny decides he's gonna venture out over the hills, I think is what they say. Right? It's over the hills.
He's supposed to go. He goes under the gate.
I thought it was over the hills, is what they say.
Maybe it is. I thought it was through a gate, like under a fence kind of type thing.
I don't know, but anyway, basically him doing that starts a war with the buffalo, which I don't know if they ever say exactly why that starts a war, but he ends up leading the buffalo back to them is essentially why.
I kind of got the impression it was like there was a truce between the two of them, and
he broke the truce.
Yeah, like they weren't supposed to be on his land.
Yeah.
He wasn't supposed to be on the buffalo's land.
But then within the story, Finn is supposed to fight the Buffalo King.
So Finn gets mad because they break in and they eat all their barley.
Yes.
And all of their stuff.
So they won't be able to celebrate Barley Day.
And they won't be able to survive the winter.
Yeah.
So he goes and finds the buffalo, and he actually kills one of the buffalo. And I if I remember right, it was the leader's son, of the leader of the buffalo's son that he killed.
I don't know. But when the actual buffalo leader steps up to Finn, Finn backs down and says, "I'm not gonna fight you." And then Bingham the Builder Bear steps in and says, "I will." And he, you know what he reminded me of? Like John Henry with like the big hammer and how he ends up dying at the end. That's what it made me think of. So he ends up killing the buffalo, but in the process he gets left under the oak tree to bleed out.
Right.
So within the Winterset Hollow book, within this book, he dies. And then while everyone's celebrating Barley Day, the frog, the rabbit, and the fox all sit with him.
Right.
Because it says there's 4 empty chairs at the table.
Yeah. And so now we're back in real world, I guess. And so they have this feast, and they're all just kind of like. And I want to talk about Runny, the way he looks. So he's a rabbit.
Yes.
When is the first time we see him hurt himself?
It's
Not
after
yet, right?
this,
Okay.
yeah.
So Runny is a rabbit who's my impression I got was like human, pretty much almost human size.
I was thinking human-sized.
But he only has one leg, so he has a wooden leg on one leg. And he always has one of his ears is always bandaged up. So he's
Yes. With
older.
like a
He's just
handkerchief.
yeah, he's just an older rabbit, and he just kind of seems like the world's heavy from
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
And then the frog, I just have this picture of this frog standing up on his back two legs, like waddling through there, serving them food. I don't know. I don't know.
Again, I thought of like the Frog and Toad books.
Yeah. Um, and of course, Phineas just looks like a fox.
Yeah, but I think he wears like a cloak or something.
I think so.
Or a cape or something like that. Like, very thief vibes is what you kind of get.
And then Bingham has kind of, I don't remember what they call it, but to me, I kind of pictured like leather armor.
Yeah, but I don't think it's like full leather armor. I think it's kind of barbarian-esque.
But
Like
they said
leather
it'd been so long, he'd had it for so long that it wouldn't do any good anymore.
Yeah.
And he does not join them for the feast.
I don't know why, but I was picturing kind of like the He-Man like chest plate thing is what I was picturing for him, because I think that's kind of how it's described. I could be wrong.
Word for it, but I can't remember what it is. But anyway, so that's our animal characters.
Yes. And Bingham does not join them for the meal.
Right.
The other three do.
And Finn keeps referring to the humans as buffalo.
Yeah.
And so he doesn't really seem like he's happy they're there. He's not happy to be eating with them.
Yeah, and a couple times he said, "Can we just get on with it?" and stuff like that.
But they think they're there for like they're actually celebrating Barley Day with their literary heroes, basically.
Yeah. And then Garrus starts to read a passage from Winterset Hollow, and Finn kind of flips out on him. And then Rennie shuts Finn down and says, "Just let them do their thing. It's all part of tradition." So there's kind of like a...
I want to go back to Flackwell for just a minute.
Okay.
Because there were a couple times where, like...
I was just going to... Before you say that, I was just going to say there's a lot of tension between Rennie and Finn.
Yeah. And I cut, like, Flackwell, like, later on, he doesn't get to serve his dessert, and he's really upset because the lady fingers might get soggy. And, I mean, he's just very... finicky, I guess, maybe, and like he's very proud of his cooking.
Yeah,
he's very, I don't know, emotional, like, you know.
He's like emotionally attached to the dishes he made.
Yeah, there you go. So.
But everyone talks about how like amazing the food is.
Yeah. And so then Ronnie says he'll go get dessert. But he actually goes into the bathroom.
Yes, and he cuts off a part of his ear.
Yes.
And so at this point when this is happening, I'm thinking it's some kind of ritual where like Ronnie is taking, because he was the one that went over the hills, he's doing this like sacrificial thing. Because they say, I don't remember where, but somewhere along the lines they say, which I think it's after this, but they say they adopted some traditions from the buffalo.
Yeah.
So I thought this was like some kind of demonic thing he's doing here. But we'll get into what it actually is later.
Yeah. And so
I thought this is kind of a spoiler, but we're in spoiler territory. I thought this book was going to have a lot more supernatural elements in it than it does.
Sometimes you kind of forget that the characters are animals.
Yeah.
I mean, not really, but like they don't behave like animals.
I mean, they talk like people.
Right. But so anyway, Ronnie goes back to the dining room and he tells them to go get the bear.
No.
Because it's time to start.
Ronnie goes and gets the bear.
Oh, I thought he told Blackwell to go get him.
No. Because Flackwell, whenever he says he's going to go get dessert, Flackwell's like, "Are you sure you don't want me to?" And then Ronnie's like, "No, I need to do this." So then Ronnie goes, he cuts his ear in the bathroom, and then he goes into where Bingham's at. And basically is like, it's time. So Bingham wields up his big hammer. And then Ronnie goes back in the dining room. But Bingham doesn't come in yet.
Okay.
Because I think... Because the way I pictured the dining room, and I don't know if this is described in the book that way, But I think there's doors on this side and this side, and this side leads to like the kitchen area more, and that side leads to the ballroom. But maybe I'm thinking wrong.
See, I didn't get that with
No,
the
because he has to walk
kitchen.
past the kitchen to get to the
Yeah.
ballroom.
I was gonna say I didn't get that from the kitchen.
I don't know. Anyway, Bingham doesn't come in yet. Ronnie comes back, and they're talking, and he tells Eamon, because Eamon asks like, "Well, what do we do on Barley Day?" And Ronnie says, "Run, Eamon, run."
Yeah.
And I think Bingham comes in after that.
Yeah, that's the end of that section of the book.
Yeah, but I don't remember if Bingham comes in first or if Finn lunges for someone.
He's not in there.
But I mean, does Finn lunge for someone before Bingham comes in?
No, because Bingham's the one that stops him because he lunges for Eamon.
I know, but is Bingham in the room yet?
Yeah.
He is?
I thought so.
Okay, that's what I was asking.
It doesn't.
It doesn't really matter. At some point, Bingham comes into the dining room with his big
So
hammer.
Finn is going to stab Eamon,
Yes.
and Bingham grabs his leg and kind of throws him over his
Well,
shoulder.
not just is going to stab, he kind of does. He gets like, he pricks his neck, right?
Yeah.
But it's not deep enough to like actually hurt him, just enough to draw like a bead of blood. And then, yeah, Bingham knocks him away.
And then he goes to swing his hammer at Eamon, and Caroline pulls him away.
Yeah.
At the last second. And so now the hunt is on.
Yeah. And you know what this kind of reminded me of? Is it Ready or Not, the one with the girl who's getting married into like a rich family? That's what it made me think of. So, and like I said, I thought there was going to be more supernatural elements, so I thought they were like, the way they talked about it, I thought they were like under a time restraint. Like if they don't kill them on Barley Day, they were going to die or something.
Right.
Like, and they've mentioned a few times, oh, like this is the last time. Like once this is done, we're done.
And we find out why later.
Yeah, yeah, but so Bingham ends up slamming
Garrett.
Yeah, Gareth in the chest with the hammer. And I think because Eamon's like almost ready to die. Like he just kind of freezes. And Mike is the one that pulls him away. Mark, sorry. So do they leave the dining room here? Like everyone just kind of leaves?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they find out that all the doors and windows are unlocked.
Yes. Yeah. So is this where Bingham's hammer gets stuck in the floor?
No, it's later on.
Okay.
I think.
So what happens here? You can.
Well, they meet up with Paige's group, and then they separate again, and then they're running from Bingham, and Caroline and Mark go in one room, and Eamon goes in the other.
Yeah. And Bingham follows Eamon.
Yeah.
But he ends up like kind of skirting around and.
Well, he finds another door and he goes in there, and
Yeah.
it's like a tea room.
Yeah.
With all these really pretty tea sets.
And Bingham breaks through the wall.
Yeah.
But he ends up like finding a little like hidden closet under the stairs to hide in.
And that's the thing about this house. Like they talk about, there's a Van Gogh in there, there's a Monet in there, like all of this priceless stuff that's just been rotting away on this island.
Well, and like the tea sets that get ruined, it talks about how they're like old and like they'd probably be worth a lot of money.
Yeah. Oh.
And is it Flackwell? Is that the frog? He later mentions that like that's like one of his favorite things is the tea sets.
Yeah. And Ronnie doesn't want to tell him what happened in there.
Yeah. They kind of have a cute dynamic, even though this is like a horror book.
Yeah.
But which they, for the most part, kind of stay out of it.
Yeah.
They're, you know who they kind of reminded me of? Do you know the which they don't make like a bunch of jokes like this, but they kind of remind me of the two old guys from Sesame Street that just like always kind of sit around and do commentary.
Yeah.
That's what they made me think of.
So really, Finn is he's the one after everybody. I mean.
Yeah. And so, but whenever Eamon goes and hides in that closet, Bingham ends up bursting out when there's another group coming through, right?
I think so.
And I think Bingham goes after one of them, and Finn follows a different group.
I think so.
I don't remember. But anyway, Finn ends up killing a few of them, and he kills one on the stairs. Percy?
So, yeah, I think so. Because
Okay.
that's the one with Paige and.
Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, so Percy is like bleeding out on the stairs, and Finn like stops for a moment and like tells him, "You remind me of like the author of Winterset Hollow and like all this stuff," and says maybe you'll bleed out slower than he did or something, and then he leaves to go follow the others.
Yeah.
Um, how? Okay, I think Bingham picks up on Eamon's scent, right, and starts to swing into the closet.
Yeah. He barely misses him.
Yeah. Are you sure the hammer's later? No, the hammer was before.
I don't know.
Okay, so when they were in the dining room, Bingham swung his hammer, and Matt pulled Eamon out of the way, so the hammer went into the floor. So there's a hole in the floor. I would almost swear it's the dining room.
Okay. No big deal.
Um, it doesn't really matter. But what ends up happening is I don't remember how. Oh, um, Matt. No, Mark. Why can I not remember his name? Mark ends up stabbing Bingham in the butt. So Bingham whips around, and that gives Edmund a chance to get behind him, Eamon, and uh, so whenever Bingham goes after Mike. Then Mark, why?
And Bingham never talks. He roars, but he does
No,
not speak.
no. And I think they even say in the book he didn't talk either. Um, but yeah. So anyway, Eamon ends up stabbing Bingham again with the spear, and gets his attention. I think this is when he runs back to the dining room, isn't it?
I don't remember.
Well, okay. I think Eamon, Caroline, and Mark.
Yes.
Okay. Are together again, and at some point Bingham swings at someone and like hits a door, so some of them get out.
Yeah.
But for some reason Eamon doesn't. I think maybe he's distracting Bingham for them. But anyway, he ends up going through the hole in the floor and dropping into the basement.
Yeah. And he sees cages down there that look like they were running in Blackwell's.
Yes, and there's like a little like tea area basically set up between the two cages.
Yeah.
And everything looks fresh. Like it looks like there's fresh sheets and stuff.
Yeah.
So Bingham starts like, swinging around the basement, and Eamon finds the basement stairs. It's dark down here too. It's like pitch black, right? But he finds a candle or a lantern.
I don't know.
Something like that. I think it's a lantern. And that's what he uses to see. Well, he ends up finding the door, and he's trying to get out, and Bingham comes up behind him, and then the door gets opened from the outside, and it's Caroline and Mark. And so Eamon gets out. They end up closing the door. I don't think Bingham gets out yet. We skipped whenever he meets Olivia earlier. That's Owl's name, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, sorry. But, back before the dinner started, Eamon decided he needed some fresh air. So he went outside and he was looking at one of the statues, and this owl person thing
She's just a big owl.
talked to him, and she told him fly away.
Yeah.
But before she could really explain, and she kind of talks in riddles, but before she could really explain what she meant by that, Runny comes out, and she kind of like disappears.
Yeah.
Like she doesn't want Runny to see her. But back to where we're at in the present. So those three are out, and they decide they're going to go to the docks to try to see if there's a boat in the boathouse.
No, they're going to the dock where what's his name dropped him off at. Because
Yeah.
they think he may still be there. They don't know he's gone yet.
They say he may still be there, or there might be boats in the boathouse because there's a boathouse at the docks. Because remember, the boathouse is empty.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So when they're walking, they get back to the front gates that were closed before.
And they're open.
Yes, and
Eamon
Eamon.
realizes that it's all a setup. Like it's
Yeah.
like they're hurting them where they want
Yeah.
them to be.
And somewhere in here we get a snippet where Finn gets a bow and arrow that he had hidden like out in the garden somewhere. Um, which Finn is the fox, in case you forgot. So Edmund kind of pulls Mark and Caroline into like the tree line, so they're like hidden from view, and they kind of watch the people that are at the docks because Thomas is there, Rowan and Patrick are there.
Paige is there.
Paige is there. Is that Paige's? Is Paige and Thomas? Are they the ones that are together? Okay, yeah. And is it just those four that are there?
I think so.
So they're
So Eamon starts throwing pebbles, trying to
yes,
get their attention.
because they don't want to yell, so because they don't want to get the
Right.
animals' attention. So he throws some pebbles, hoping to get their attention to get them over to the tree line. And an arrow hits Thomas somewhere.
Not yet.
Oh, arrows start flying towards them.
Yeah, and so
But-
Rowan and Patrick take off, and Thomas is determined he's swimming back to the main island.
Yeah, so he gets in the water, and as he's like trying to get away, an arrow pierces his throat, and his body like washes back up, and Paige is like on her knees like crying over it.
Yeah, and she just sits there with him, and Finn comes up and says, "Aren't you gonna run?" And she said, "No."
Yeah, and so I think Finn slices her throat with his knife. Is it obsidian? Is that what it is? Yeah, with his obsidian knife. So at some point, Eamon, Caroline, and Mark start working their way back to where there's the gap in the fence.
And Patrick and Rowan have taken off through the woods, and we see that Patrick has lost Rowan.
Yes. So we started with 10 characters, right? And at this point, 5 of them have died. Kind of.
Who's the fifth? Because there's Percy, Gareth, Paige, Thomas.
So just 4 then.
Yeah, maybe there's only 9.
Well, no, because okay, there's Gareth, and then Thomas and Paige, and then Talia and Percy, and then Rowan and Patrick.
Where's
So
Talia at?
I think Talia. Okay, he kills Percy on the stairs, and then he kills Talia in the bedroom.
That's right.
Finn does when they're in the house. Okay, so yeah, so 5 are dead, 5 are still alive at this moment.
So then Finn goes to the barn,
Yes,
and he releases his hounds.
yes. Which we don't. Do they say what they are here yet?
You, by the way he describes them, you kind of figured out.
Yeah, but basically they're people from past Barley Days, because Barley Days are tradition they do, and so they're people from past Barley Days that Finn has basically trained to be hounds.
Right.
So they keep
And
them like malnourished and
They talk about lice and their long hair, and
yeah,
basically feeds them enough to keep them alive, and that's it.
yeah. And I don't think it says it here, but we find out later like their tongues are cut out so they can't speak to each other.
And I think there's what, 5 of them left.
I think to start with, yeah,
And so they whistle is how they communicate.
yeah.
So Finn tells them if they help him catch the 5 that are loose on the island, he will let them loose, and they can live out the rest of their days in the woods and not be in their cages.
So, which throughout this book, you get that snippets like Eamon like realizing, oh, this is a trap and all that. And so you can tell that even though Eamon doubts himself, and like in the situations when he's been like almost killed both times, he's frozen. So he was lucky to have Mark there to save him. But it is Mark, right?
Yes.
Okay. But he is very capable, and like you see that more throughout the book, that he has like these survival skills that his dad instilled in him when he was raised out in the woods. And so that's when you kind of get the snippets, is whenever he kind of does smart stuff.
Yeah. But on the flip side of that, I mean, he wasn't ever really in danger growing up because,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
maybe he didn't know how to react to. Not that he didn't know he was in danger, but like maybe he just didn't have that ingrained in him that you got to get out of the way, and
yeah.
you know, I don't know.
I don't either, but
So the hounds have names like Bishop, King, Queenie. There's a rook
yeah. Is there
and
just
knight.
four of them?
There's knight. There's five of
Okay.
them. And so Finn turns them loose.
Yes, and they end up cornering, or one of them. Is it Bishop? Which
I don't remember.
one of them ends up cornering? What's his name?
Patrick.
Patrick up a tree, and starts whistling. Well, that instead of getting Finn's attention, it gets Bing's attention. So Bingham kills because when Bingham tries to go over there to get to Patrick, um,
The hound.
yeah, the Hound tries to like stand in his way, and Bingham basically, I mean, like we said, he doesn't speak, but he basically like growls at him and gives him one warning. And when that doesn't work, he just slams him with the hammer first. And then he ends up uprooting the tree.
And Patrick this whole time is yelling at Rowan to run.
Yeah, and it ends up killing Patrick, like smashing him with the hammer.
Yeah, after he was smashed by the tree.
Yes. Um, does he smash him with his hammer, or does he let him bleed out?
I thought he choked him, but
Maybe he does. Anyway, so, which we don't get this now, but later on, Bingham carries the body back, both bodies, and Finn is mad that he killed one of his hounds.
yeah. And for some reason, they're laying the bodies out in the ballroom.
Yeah. Which again, I thought was going to be some kind of ritual thing.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so the hounds are just, like, basically feral people armed with wooden spears.
Right.
Um, so because Roan ends up fighting one of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of the hounds, and he gets away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which
And this is when
one of them is it Queenie that he fights and gets
I
the
don't
spear from?
remember.
I think it's Queenie.
But is this when Eamon and his friends decide they're going to go toward the lighthouse?
Yes, because
Caroline remembered on the map that there was
a
or in the
lighthouse.
book there was a something. I think it was their grain bin that was inspired by the actual lighthouse on the island.
Yeah, it's yeah, and she has a book about the island she checked out from the library that has like the actual stuff from the island, and I think it's the mill on the hill is what is talked about in the book.
That's right.
That is in real life on the island. The lighthouse is supposedly what inspired the mill in the book, and we is when is this when Finn chases them and they outsmart him?
Maybe. Or Mark ends up getting shot, doesn't he? By an arrow?
Yeah, so I think that's here, right?
I think so.
Um, or is that not till later? Because is this leg hurt when they're in the cave? It is. Yeah. So it's somewhere along here. At some point, Mark gets shot in the leg with an arrow, but Finn is chasing them. They end up getting away. Like they get some distance between them, and then this whole time, Carolyn has had a backpack on her back, and um, Eamon, his clothes, his shirt is stained with blood from like the neck, and has his eye thing happened?
I don't think so yet.
Okay. His shirt is really stained with blood somehow from something.
Probably from his neck. Because it gets worse when he first stabs him.
Or do they go through the maze first here? And run into two of the hounds?
I don't remember. This is terrible.
Okay, I think here's when they're seen by two of the hounds, and the two hounds start to follow them, and they manage to make it into the maze. And that's when Mark got shot in the leg, right? Because Finn was also with the hounds.
And the maze has two different entrances, so Eamon goes one way and Carolyn and Mark go the other way.
And uh, uh, Finn doesn't want to go through the maze, so he just sends the hounds in to drag them out, to scare them out, basically.
And he kind of runs around the top of the outside of the maze, though. Like,
Yeah,
he doesn't
yeah.
want to do the actual maze,
Yeah.
but he's...
Which we later learned that the cage in the middle is the cage that had him in it, so it makes sense why he wouldn't want to go back.
Yeah,
in
with
there.
the chess games.
Yeah. Because he is beating everyone at chess when we first meet him.
Yeah.
When he's in like the ballroom.
Yeah.
So anyway, the two hounds end up finding like one of them. It's King is one of them, and I don't remember which one the other one is.
Finding Mark, and Caroline kills King.
I thought King was the one that lived, and the other one that was with them is the one that
maybe.
died. But it doesn't matter. It's not important. But anyway, there's two hounds, and one of them gets killed with the other one's spear. And Eamon's eye almost gets like
The
plucked out,
hound
essentially.
puts his thumb
thumb
through
into his eye.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it doesn't seem like he like it wasn't the point his eye is like completely useless, because he still kind of sees later, right?
Yeah.
So he kind of just got his thumb in there enough to like draw blood and stuff. I don't know how eyes work or how fragile they are.
And we can skip over that part as quick as you want to.
It grosses you out.
Eyes make me squeamish.
So anyway, they end up taking out one of the hounds, and the other one is on the ground. And I don't know why they don't kill him.
Is that the one that...
Or does he end up getting
Is
lost?
that the one that Eamon almost... Didn't he almost strangle one of them?
I think so, yeah. I think that's right.
And then I think and then he heard Caroline scream, so he left.
Yeah. So they end up leaving the maze. And so Finn kind of deals with the hounds first, doesn't he? And tells the one hound to carry the other one home.
Yeah.
So Finn starts following the scent of the people. And originally, when they first started heading north, Eamon was like, this is a good idea because we'll be away from the wind. But then he says the wind shifted, and now their scent is going to be taken right towards Finn.
Right.
So when they get to a river in the woods that are like on the northern part of the island, because I don't know if they say this outright, but is the dock on the south part of the island?
I don't know if they really said.
Okay, because the way I imagine the island, the dock was on the very south part and the lighthouse was on the very north part. I don't know if that's how you pictured it, because I think they say the tree with the
I thought it was east and west, but that's just me.
what?
I thought the lighthouse was on the west.
Maybe it is. I thought it was north. I don't know.
No, I thought the lighthouse was on the east. No, on the west. I thought the lighthouse was on the west and the dock was on the east.
I don't know. I'm terrible with directions. Anyway, I'm imagining they're like on opposite sides of each other. So anyway, they're in the woods and they find a river, and Eamon has an idea. So Caroline's had a backpack this whole time, and she's decided she's not going to carry it anymore because they don't really need it. And there's not really anything useful in it. So Eamon puts his bloody shirt, hand lotion that Caroline had been using. He puts that all over part of a blanket, and with the other part of the blanket, he wraps Mark's leg. And I don't know if he puts something on Mark's in there.
He took off what they had on his leg and put it in there.
Probably. But he ends up putting all that stuff in the bag, and it floats down the river. And then they go, and they end up finding a cave that has a gigantic cage at the front of it. Or a giant cage door in the front of the cave.
Right.
And when they enter in, it's all lined with, bones. But it's the bones are deer bones that are making like a scene,
Yeah.
and they theorize it's what the hollow used to look like
Yeah.
before.
And they figure out that that was a cage for
Yeah,
bear.
and on the ceiling is like a map of the constellations, and they talk about how it's accurate.
And uh, Aemon tells Caroline to go out and get pine cones because he knows how to stop bleeding by
Yes.
using pine cones,
Yeah.
which I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
Um,
And so Finn ends up following the backpack. So it ends up it starts to rain after that. So he goes back to the house. Finn does, because he can't catch a sit in the rain. So he's just going to go back to the house. And it also talks about how like he's kind of using that as an excuse, so he's not wallowing in pity for himself, but he doesn't really want to.
And he gets back there and Ronnie's kind of picking on him for not getting everybody.
Yeah. And that might be the part wherever Bingham comes in with the bodies, and Finn's mad that one of his, because he lost 2 hounds that night.
Yeah.
So back in the cave, they end up making a fire, and Caroline she kept her copy of Winterset Hollow from her bag, and we find out it's because it was her mother's, and her mom wrote wrote notes in the margins of it. But she starts ripping pages out and burning them.
And it's like is hers the one that's leather bound?
I don't remember.
Because she keeps the cover of it.
Well, she does for now.
Yeah.
But I don't remember. I thought Garrus was the leather bound one.
It was.
I when I was picturing hers, I was picturing like a mass market paperback. But I don't know if it actually said that or if that was just my head. But earlier when she got rid of her bag, she tucked it in the inner waistband. But she starts to burn it, and then Olivia, the owl from earlier, comes into the cave and talks to them, and she's like, I tried to warn you to fly away. And she tells them about a hunting cabin that's a little bit out of the way to the lighthouse, but generally in the same direction. And they might be able to find something useful there.
And it's like 4 or 5 miles from this cave to the hunting cabin.
Yes, and Aemon says that he would almost guarantee that they're going to run into like the animals before they get to the lighthouse. So they should go check there to see if there's like a gun or anything that they can use to fight them off. So that's like at night. So do they sleep in the cave?
I think they do for a little while.
Yeah. So when they head out, well, like at dawn, Runny and the people that are back at the house, like Runny and Finn, I say people, but you know what I mean, the animals, they see her flying kind of crookedly in the sky. We got that scene. So, she had offered to lead them to the cabin to show them the way by flying, but her wings are clipped, and so she can't like fly to the mainland or anything. So they say like, we think that you flying would just draw attention and stuff, so she just gives them directions. So they start heading that way.
And back at the house, Runny has a rifle.
Yes.
Blackwell has a
slingshot.
But he's using like metal BBs.
Yes.
In a slingshot.
Yeah, like ball bearings.
And then of course Bing has his hammer, and Finn has his knife and his
obsidian knife, and I think they're obsidian arrows too. They're the tips of them are obsidian. So, they all get ready to head to the cabin in the morning, and so they end up going, or I don't even know if it's probably, I don't even know if it necessarily is like in the morning, but when it stops raining, they leave the cave. And
I think at some point he talks about the sun coming up, so I think that's pretty early morning.
Yeah. And again, on the way, they run into some more statues around the island. And one of them is like of a 13 or 14-year-old girl. And Carolyn decides to part with her cover that was from her mother's Winterset Hollow. She leaves it like on the statue as kind of like a little tribute. And they work their way to the hunter's cabin. And when they get there, they run into someone. Do you want to talk about that?
Go ahead.
What's his name? Is it Rowan?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Rowan's there.
When he
And
is the one that got separated from Patrick earlier,
yes,
and we haven't seen him for a little while.
yeah, and so he is up in the top of the cabin, and he has something, some kind of weapon.
Doesn't he have one of the spears from the hounds?
Yes, because he knocked one of the ones down earlier. And somewhere in here, we get a scene where Finn, during the night before when he got back, since one of the hounds lost a spear, he makes the other two. He says, "When I come back in the morning, there'll only better be one of you left because one of them lost a spear." So he leaves a spear between them and says,
Yeah.
"Only one of you better be left in the morning." You know what that made me think of?
What?
The Joker, whenever he breaks the pool stick in two and says, "I only have one like job opening," basically. You don't remember that? It's in the Dark Knight movie. Is that just called the Dark Knight?
There's the Dark Knight and the Dark Knight Rises.
So it's just the Dark Knight.
I don't remember that, but
Um. Well, anyway. So they get to talking, and he says the only thing he found was like a rusty hunting knife, and he had that spear from one of the hounds. Well, while they're talking, he kind of somewhat mentions that he was led here by the owl. And Eamon's like, "Oh, she led you here?" And I don't know, I don't remember why he's at the front door. Are they just gonna leave?
yeah, because they didn't find anything.
Yeah. And while
But
Ron's
I
at the
thought
front
at
door,
this part, I thought at this part that Olivia was like working with
me too. That's what I thought too.
the other animals.
Um, but the other animals appear and end up killing Rowan. I don't. Is it just arrows again?
I can't
No,
remember if
it's
arrow or if
Runny's gun.
shoots him,
It's
yeah.
Runny's gun. Because it talks about how bullets are tearing holes in the wall.
Yeah.
So
And kind of throughout the book, you've gotten this impression that Eamon is the one that matters, and Mark and Caroline are just like collateral damage.
yeah, like Eamon is like always the one targeted.
Yeah. And so he tells them, he's like, "I will go out the front door and distract them. You guys go out the back door because there's two hounds coming too."
Yeah. And Mark's leg is acting up.
Yeah. He says, "I'll meet you at the lighthouse."
So they end up slipping out. He ends up slipping out. So Bingham and Finn go after Eamon. And Ronnie and Flackwell go after Mark and Caroline. I don't know if you would say it Carolyn or Caroline. I have been swapping back and forth. I've worked with two different people that were named very similar things, but one went by Carolyn and the other one went by Caroline. And
because
so I don't
of the
know.
E at the end, I say Caroline. Carolyn to me is Lyn.
Well, the person I worked with, it was spelled the same way.
Oh.
But it was Carolyn. So I don't know.
Well, we've been saying Caroline.
It doesn't matter. Mark's leg is acting up again. That is mentioned. Mm-hmm. And the hounds corner them, right? Mm-hmm. And Caroline, she finds a gun on the ground. She finds the gun on like the skeletal remains of a group that had tried to fight back before.
And at some point earlier, somebody had said something about there being old hunters out, like old Barley Day sacrifices out in the woods.
Yeah, and I don't remember if it was Finn or Runny, but one of them tells them like, "Oh, you're not gonna find anything at the hunting cabin. The first group we did this to tried to, and the guns didn't help them any."
Yeah.
Excuse me. But she ends up finding that pistol, and she's like trying to get it to shoot, but it's just like it's been out in the elements for who knows how long, and so like it won't shoot. And finally,
she gets shot here, right? By Flackwell.
Yes, she gets a lead ball bearing, like I think near her hip or something, like
I thought
somewhere.
It was in her thigh.
It might be.
What's this called?
Knee.
No, below your knee. Your
calf.
Thank you.
She gets shot somewhere with it, and but anyway, so she's trying to shoot that gun and it won't work, and then the guy that she's fighting, his head explodes. So you're like, oh, the gun worked, but no, it's actually Runny missed with his rifle and shot the round. Because the way it's framed, you think the gun finally worked. Yeah. Because I think it like ends there and like goes to Runny's point of view, even though it's third person, but it's kind of like it switches to where to what Runny is doing. But
I feel like that was
Runny's
kind of like, oh crap, you're gonna be in trouble with Finn for.
yeah, but Runny is like running low on ammo, so or like has to reload. So I think right. So Mark and Carolyn make their move and start working
Mm-hmm.
their way through the woods,
Yeah.
and they're kind of supporting each other because they're both injured at this point. So back with Eamon, he's running from uh, Bigum.
Bingham
Yeah, but
and Finn.
yeah, but Bingham is faster
Yeah.
than Eamon is,
Right.
and so he almost gets him, but he gets attacked. Or does he get? No, he gets cornered because Finn works his way around behind him,
Yeah.
and so he gets cornered between the two of them. And I think Bingham's about to swing, and Finn's about to release an arrow, and Finn gets mauled in the face, and an arrow shoots into Bingham.
Yeah. Into his
And
skin
then
and in his palm, the palm of his hand.
yes, and then because he snaps it off and pulls it out, which you're not supposed to do. If you ever get an arrow in you or anything like that, if it's in, leave it in because as soon as you pull it out, it's gonna bleed more and you're gonna die.
So I have to Steve Irwin.
But uh, then, which obviously the thing attacking the face is Olivia, like the owl, and so she attacks Finn and then she attacks Bingham, and so Eamon makes his move while he can, and so Bingham's distracted, but Finn manages to like start to follow him. And they end up stumbling into like a river together that there's a waterfall at the end of. Right?
Is that now or is that later?
That's
I
now.
thought that was when he came back
It came back.
to the island.
No, that's now.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So they end up like wrestling each other in the water. They end up in the water, and um, Eamon knocks the knife out of his hand, knocks the obsidian knife out of Finn's hand down in the water, and Finn, like, despite the fact he knows he doesn't have the lungs for it, is diving down anyway to get it because if he's gonna die with his knife in his hands. Right. So we basically think Finn dies there.
Yeah, and Eamon gets away.
Yeah, and so, but he's pretty hurt by this point.
Yeah.
And so he starts working his way back to the lighthouse, and does he get there first? Yeah, he does. He gets there.
Well, no, Mark and Caroline are leaning up against the side of the lighthouse, and he gets there because
Okay.
he sends them to
Oh,
the boathouse to look for oars, and he goes to check out.
Doesn't
the boat.
he gonna pass out for a bit in the water?
I don't remember.
I don't know. Anyway, yeah. So he ends up meeting back up with Mark and Caroline near the lighthouse, and he tells them to look inside, and he goes over to the boats, and he realizes the boats are destroyed.
The first two boats are rotten. The third one he's really excited about because it's freshly painted and all this stuff. And he starts to pull it in the water, and he looks back, and he's only pulling half the boat because it's broken half.
And you learn that I think it was Runny predicted that they were going to come here and had Bingham destroy the boat.
Yeah.
So then
because they say something about the people have gone there before.
Yeah, and so I think Runny even called it like the mill.
Yeah.
Because that's what it is in the book. But we find out that Bingham saved Finn from drowning in the water.
And I thought that was kind of funny because he's carrying his dead body, and then it says something about the way his gait was what dislodged the water and brought it.
Yeah,
It was kind of like doing CPR or whatever to get water out of him, just from the way that Bingham walked.
Yeah, and so they're met at the lighthouse basically Bingham and Finn step out, and then Runny and why can I not remember the frog's name? Flackwell are like in the tree line, and rifle in the bearings and all that. So
which I know a bullet would hurt, but can you imagine like one of those little steel bearings?
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, that would hurt.
Yeah. Well, even like whenever, because Mark has to fish it out of her. Yeah. Imagine how much that would hurt.
Yeah. Oof.
Wait, is it Mark that has the gun then and shoots the hound, or was it Caroline?
No, Caroline had the gun.
Okay.
Because I think Mark's on the ground because he's hurt.
Okay. Um. Anyway, so like they all come out and a fight starts. Finn ends up stabbing Mark, and
Badly.
when Bingham's about to kill Eamon,
Mm-hmm.
he gets lit up with bullets from the water,
Right.
and it's Captain Jean
Mm-hmm.
back to save him. And so
Which we find out later on that Gene didn't realize, like, he just thought it was a giant bear. Like, he had no idea what was really going on the island.
yeah, kind of.
Well, no, he didn't know because he's like confused about why he's wearing clothes and.
I know, but like, we'll talk about why I said kind of. We're almost there, but so anyway, Mark and Caroline and him, because Runny and Flackwell both run out of ammo.
Yeah.
But so Caroline, Mark, and Eamon all end up going with Jean and getting off the island. So, which
we
Finn
think Bingham is dead.
Didn't Caroline knock out Finn with like a oar?
Yes.
Okay.
And we think that Bingham is dead at this point.
Yeah, because he kind of just falls to the ground.
Yeah.
So they get on the boat and they're heading towards the mainland, and Gene says he came back because Olivia came and warned him.
Yes.
And so her dead body is on the boat.
Yes.
So it's kind of implied that she used like that she was dying and she used like the last of her energy to go get him.
I got the impression that if there was anything supernatural in the book, it was that, like, she was not allowed to leave the island or she would die.
I thought she had gotten hurt whenever she attacked Bingham and Finn, but it could go either way.
The way I read it, because when she's first talking to him, he says, "Why don't you go get us help?" Because we didn't talk about that part. There's one part where Eamon gets mad at her, and he's like...
Yeah, which is after the water, but before he gets to the lighthouse.
I think so. And he's like, why can't you go get help? And I thought the way she talked, but it could have been that they clipped her wings and that's why she couldn't. But anyway, she did make it to Captain Jean.
Before she died.
And he asks Eamon what happened, and he said, "You wouldn't believe me."
Yeah, which is... And I think he says, like, I've seen Stranger Things or something, talking about her.
Yeah.
Which I think that's why he kind of... Even though he did, like... Was that bear wearing clothes? I think he kind of knew that the bear was something more than it seemed because of her.
Yeah, that's true.
Which, another thing we didn't talk about was the owls. It talks about... So in the Winterset Hollow book, within this book, the owls are like watchers that hold knowledge. Yes. And
their whole goal is to know everything.
Yes. And Caroline said that her mom used to threaten her by being like, "Oh, if you do something bad, the owls are going to see and tell me," because she knew Caroline liked that book. And then Eamon talks about how he, like, before he read the book, when he was at his dad's, there was always owls around the house, and he always felt like they were watching him, but he didn't.
Right.
He didn't ever think there was anything really supernatural about it.
Right.
He just knew there were owls out there, and they kind of freaked him out, I think he says.
So, they get back to the mainland.
Yes.
And there's an ambulance there who gets Mark and Caroline, and Eamon says he'll meet them at the hospital.
Yeah, he says, "I'll meet you later," but I don't remember, like, what excuse he gives for that.
I thought he just said he was going to get their car and go to he'd meet him at the hospital.
That might be it. But, so Gene had a gun, obviously, because he shot Bingham with it. And so,
Eamon gets it, kind of holds him hostage
and says,
"I need
to go back."
But kind of holds him up and says, "I'm going back. I want your boat."
Yeah. And
which Gene is really not. I mean, you really don't care. He tells him where the flares are at.
I was gonna say he seems like nonplussed by it.
Yeah.
And Gene says, "I know there's no bullets left in that gun. I don't keep extra ammo on the boat either." And then tells him where there's a flare, like a flare gun. And so basically, Gene's like, after the crazy crap I've seen, like, if you need to do this, but I don't know why you would ever return to that island.
Right, and he says there's not enough gas in the boat to get you back over there, and there's nowhere
Yeah,
to get gas right. Like I really feel like he was trying to be helpful. Like
yeah.
you can go, but you're not going to make it unless we get gas. And
Because I think Gene even says I'll take you in the morning or something.
yeah,
Um, uh, but so he ends up like kicking Gene off the boat, and he drives back, and then we kind of meet back up with him in the morning. He fell asleep while he was on the boat.
and he actually did run out of gas, but the boat drifted to the island.
Yeah, and
but he's not sure if he slept 2 hours or if he slept 20 hours.
Yeah, and he says that he closed his eyes for just 1 second whenever the boat ran out of gas, and next thing you knew, he was like up against the rocks near the island.
Yeah.
Because he kind of has to wade through the water to get to the island.
Yeah. So he goes back.
And he goes back into like the mansion, and he runs into Runny first.
Yeah.
Is
I'm gonna tell you this right now. I might have a hard time talking about the ending of this book because it might make me cry. So
okay.
I'm just throwing that out there.
We skipped over when he finds the statue, didn't we? Or is that not yet? The J boots. Was that when he talks to Olivia, or was that later?
I thought that was when he. That's why he was later getting to the lighthouse.
Yeah.
And that's when he yells at Olivia.
Yeah. So whenever he, right before he yelled at Olivia, he found a statue of his father, and so basically he finds out that he's actually the ancestor of Addington, the man who wrote Winterset Hollow. So the reason they've been so like stuck on him and focused on him specifically, like killing him, is because he is like the descendant of.
And he's the last.
Yes. That's why they said this will be the last year we have to do this, because once he's dead, that bloodline is gone.
Yeah. And so, he's back at the mansion, he runs into Runny, and Runny starts basically telling him, like, he takes him in this room and shows him.
Which, this room was introduced earlier, because whenever he first woke up, like, way back when Eamon passed out when he saw Runny the first time, Runny took him, like, on a little tour through the house, and went through this room that had all these, like, animals from around the world, like, stuffed, basically.
This is a different room.
I know. But there's a room at the end, there's double doors that have the family crest on it, and he asks what's through those doors, and Runny says, haven't we relived enough bad memories, or something like that? Because he's talking about how, like, humans don't really care about animals.
Right.
And so we go into that room now.
Yeah. And so we find out that Edward had met Runny in Winterset Hollow, in the Hollow, like the island that they actually lived on. And
Runny left the Hollow.
Runny thought he was a good guy, so he invited him back for the Barley Day celebration.
Yes.
And Edward was one of those people who thought he deserved the best of everything, and so what more can you ask for except for a bear and a frog and a rabbit and a fox that can talk and play chess? And so he took them back to Addington Island with them under the impression that he would leave their families alone if they basically lived as servants for him.
Yeah, and did what he told them to do.
Yeah.
So they thought they were protecting everyone else by being there. And so basically the story of Runny leaving and running into the buffalo is really Runny left and met a person.
Right.
And the person kind of ruined the Hollow.
Yeah. And so this room that he takes them into is all of their families that have been stuffed.
Yes.
So rabbits, frogs, foxes, bears.
Which I don't know if this was intended, but you know what it made me think of?
What?
The genocide of Native Americans. How, like, white people came over and just killed a bunch of them, took their land, put them on reservations, which I know that's not, like, it's not a literal cage, but it's
Right.
a cage nonetheless.
And so in this room, they also have the body of Edward Addington.
Yes.
And we find out that Finn had killed him.
Yeah, and his body's like stuffed, like taxidermied,
Yeah.
like the animals.
Yeah.
And what they talk about is that, or from what I understand, he Addington would offer like family and friends like, hey, you want to hunt something you could never hunt anywhere else, and would take them to the Hollow and they would hunt. Like,
Pretty much Bingham, I think, was the one they hunted most. The bear.
no, but I got the impression that it wasn't just that like he went to the Hollow and killed everyone. He took people there and hunted them. Like I know he
Oh,
did
you
hunts on the
mean where they
island.
lived? Oh, yeah,
Yes, in the
gotcha.
Hollow.
Yeah, gotcha. I was thinking on the island.
Yeah.
Um,
It talks about how Bingham has scars from bullets, so it's kind of
right,
implied that he was hunted on the island too as like a
right.
sport thing.
And that was the thing with the cages and the chessboard was Finn was good at
Yes.
chess, so he could impress his friends by having, um, but it's just sad. And we find out at one point that Rennie lost his leg that he has a wooden leg on
Yeah.
because Edward didn't like the sound of him thumping his foot.
Nervously.
So he either had the choice of cutting his leg off or being murdered.
Yeah. And like cutting his own leg off.
Yeah.
And so he had to basically because he's thinking, oh, if I don't do this, he's gonna kill me and probably my family too. So he cut his own leg off. And that's why he was cutting his ear earlier because I thought it was going to be some kind of like ritual like demonic or satanic or something
Yeah.
like that, but no, it's just he got addicted to the feeling.
And he basically says it's the only time he ever feels anything.
Yeah, so he
Which is
self-harms.
horrible and
Yeah,
awful and terrible and
all too real.
yeah. So Ronnie ends up getting shot right there, right? By Finn.
Yeah, because running basically.
No, that's not right. He kills Flackwell.
Yeah, that's what it is. So I don't remember how they end up in the room, but Runny, well, we know Runny's in there. I think Flacco comes in and is talking, and basically is like, if you just let Runny go, we'll let you go, and we won't bother you ever again. Just leave us alone. We'll stay on the island. And then, and he said, I think he says something like, "We'll forgive you" or something. And so Finn then comes in and shoots Flackwell with a arrow. And so that kind of like breaks everything that's going on. So Eamon like releases Runny from his grip and stuff, and so Runny runs over to Flackwell and is like, "Don't die on me, my frog," and stuff like that.
Yeah. And at one point he takes him out of that room because he said or maybe that's Eamon that does that later.
Eamon does it later.
Um, so then Finn is hunting Eamon again.
Yeah.
But we find out that like the whole thing has been to get rid of the Addington line.
Yes.
And that Eamon's name is really John Eamon Buckley Addington, but he did not know Addington was part of his last name.
Yeah.
And we find out that they are the ones who sent him the book, and they are the ones who made sure he was getting the magazine
Yeah.
and he got the passes and stuff.
Yeah.
So he kind of ends up challenging Finn ends up challenging Eamon kind of to a hand-to-hand combat
No
with
weapons.
no weapons, and they end up in the maze, the hedge maze.
Yeah. And so, what does Eamon have? Not the flares. I mean, what did he have? He had a knife or something, right?
They had him on the spears.
That probably is what it is. He had something, and so Finn said, "Why don't we both like get rid of our weapons and just go like man to man?" So, does he pick or does Eamon pick where they go?
I think Eamon picks.
Yeah, I thought so too. So Eamon says, "Let's go do it in the maze," and Finn doesn't know that Eamon has two flares in his back pocket.
Yeah.
So when they get to the maze, Eamon starts lighting it on fire.
Mm-hmm.
I think he just has two flares, right? And he lights like two separate spots.
Because he has one later on too. No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. That's the fire that they see.
Um. So anyway, he kind of lights the garden on fire, and I think they're playing like hide and seek essentially.
Yeah.
With Eamon hiding and then Finn coming after him.
But again, Finn's on top of the maze, like not really in the maze. He's running around the outside of it, which I don't think is very fair.
But then Eamon runs into King, who's the last town left.
Yes.
And King has carved into his arms like a message, since he can't talk, like, "I will help you." I don't remember the
It
exact
says
words,
something
but
about family first.
yeah. But
Now, with
basically,
that being carved into his arm,
yeah,
do you think that was his dad?
that's not what I got.
Really?
Because what they say later with um like I was under the impression that they only put those statues up when they kill someone.
I just thought because he said family that.
I was thinking that was because the other hound was killed. I don't think it was his dad.
Huh, well, that's not what I got out of it.
Well, different people can interpret things different ways.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm dumb. Maybe I missed something.
I didn't say you were dumb.
But anyway, I think what ends up happening is King puts on some of Aemon's clothes.
Yeah.
And goes and stands in the cage in the middle of the maze.
Yeah.
So Finn goes in there thinking it's Aemon, and then Aemon locks the door and locks Finn in there while the maze is burning around them. So then,
So he carved honor family. That's what he carved into himself.
I just took that as because the other hound died. It might have been his dad though, but I don't know why King would have come after Aemon in the first place, even if he was being forced to by Finn, if that was his son and he had been training him his whole life.
But did he really go after Aemon? Did the same one really go after Aemon?
I think so,
Oh.
because
Maybe I read too much into it.
I don't know. And maybe it's up for interpretation. Maybe he left it ambiguous on purpose. But anyway, so Finn's now locked in the cage. So, which I do have one gripe with this book that I'll talk about. But Aemon barely manages to escape the maze. Like he's like can't find any air and stuff, and eventually he gets out. And it talks about how like he gets like a foot away from the edge of the maze where there's fresh air, but it feels like there's like a whole world between him and it because the air is like so refreshing and stuff. The language in this book is very beautiful.
It is.
Um, and that's when Bingham returns. He didn't actually die, so he ends up fighting Aemon, and Aemon ends up choking him out with the spear.
Yeah. But I kind of get the feeling that Bingham wanted to die.
Yeah, he did. It what it made me think of, which this is like a lot less sad in my opinion and handled a lot differently, but we both have played Skyrim. There's a random encounter you can get where an older orc will come up to you and say like, "I've lived my life and I want to die by a warrior's hands," and then you fight them and you can kill them.
Yeah.
That's what it made me think of, like, because it talks about how, like we said, Bingham can't talk and stuff, and like all he's ever known in his life is war, fighting, and it just seems like he's tired and done with it. And so he kind of, because he could have killed Aemon, but he just kind of lets Aemon kill him.
Yeah.
But he still kind of, he does kind of fight back because I think he wants it to like be fair. But yeah,
He doesn't want to just give up, but he doesn't really put his whole heart into it.
yeah. And then after Bingham is dead and kind of on top of Aemon, like partially on top of Aemon.
Yeah, Aemon's trapped.
Yeah. I think it's just his legs though, or is it like his whole?
I kind of got the impression it was like half his belly down.
Okay, yeah. Finn comes out of the burning maze, and his fur is singed and stuff, but he's still alive. So do you want to?
Go ahead.
I don't remember what happens.
Rennie shoots Finn.
Yeah, that's what it is. Rennie comes over the hill and shoots Finn. So now Finn is dead.
Mm-hmm.
How does Rennie die? Oh, I think he got stabbed earlier by Finn or something.
Probably.
Yeah, because his guts are hanging out, remember?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, because you kind of think that he's dead. You kind of think Rennie's dead because he gets, like, gutted earlier by Finn.
Yeah.
But he comes out, like, holding his guts with the rifle and shoots Finn. So then Aemon manages to get out from under Bingham. And so he starts moving, like, the corpses around.
Yeah.
So he takes Flackwell and Ronnie. Or does he leave Ronnie where he is?
No, he takes Flackwell and Ronnie to the field, and he puts Ronnie down first, and then he goes against Flackwell, and his hand falls on top of
Yeah,
Ronnie's in the
yeah.
field that they used to spend all their time in together.
And I think he says that he can't move Bingham because Bingham's too big. But where does he take Finn? Because I think he takes Finn to the spot where he thinks they were going to build a statue of him.
Yes.
But I don't remember where they say it is.
It's somewhere out in the woods.
Yeah. Um. So then he comes gets saved. A boat saw the fire and comes to investigate.
Yeah.
He gets away.
And so the last part of this book, I don't know if I can do this. Um, Mark survived his injuries, though just barely, and both Eamon and Caroline felt his gnarled scar on their own bellies for the rest of their years. The three of them would always be close, but it was strange to have something so defining in common that they were never keen to discuss. They'd always been so good at keeping each other whole, but now there was a pit in the middle of each of them that the others simply didn't know how to fill, and so they had no choice but to leave them empty.
Yeah.
Oh, and then he does take Olivia back to the island and buries her in the cave.
Yeah. Under all the bones.
And so that is Winterset Hollow, and it is one of my favorite horror books ever.
Yeah. My gripe that I said I have earlier, um, I do think it relies a little heavily on like tricking the reader that someone died.
But I mean, if you look at it though, I mean, Ronnie cut his own leg off and he didn't die. He cut his ears and he didn't die. And like Bingham had all those wounds and stuff and didn't die.
Gareth gets hit in the chest, so you assume he's dead. Later, you find out he's still alive because Finn kills him later.
Right. He was barely alive.
I know, but Finn almost dies more than once. Yeah, because there's the maze and there's also when he falls in the water. Bingham gets shot before. Um, Ronnie gets gutted. Like it feels like characters kept coming back, and like it just felt a little.
I can see that, but I also like with the animals, I see them because I mean they've lived forever, so I
I
see
know
them
they're a
as
little more resilient, but it just feels repetitive
yeah.
at a point. I'm not saying I don't like the book. I
This
like the
is
book overall.
definitely a 5-star read for me, and I read it when it came out, like we said, and I haven't read it since. And just to sit down and it's very much a book you immerse yourself in the whole entire world of this story.
Yeah. And it feels a whole lot longer than it is in a good way.
Yeah. So, if you've read it, let us know what you think in the comments. If you haven't read it, I
Go
hope
read
you
it.
didn't listen to our podcast yet.
Um, if you read this as, or I mean, if you listen to this as a way to decide if you're going to go read it, go read it. And I'm sorry that you spoiled it for yourself this way.
Yeah. So next week we are doing the movie The Last Showing starring Robert Englund.
No. The next 2 weeks are our
I'm
favorite
sorry.
books and favorite movies.
That's right.
That'll be the following. So 3 weeks from now. No, you're okay.
So go watch it, and we will see you then.
Yep.